So we just came on a couple of minutes early, see and find out a little bit more about where everybody's from tonight. We're in Vancouver, well, in the Vancouver area in Mission, BC. Where's everybody in British Columbia, Canada? Where's everybody from tonight? It's not a whole bunch of you on yet because we're early, but so jot it down in the chat and we'll recognize you in the wonderful areas that you're from, if you choose to.
Yeah.
Nobody's putting down their names. Oh, that's because it always takes a few seconds.
Yeah, there's always a bit of a gap, isn't there?
Yeah. The funny thing is there's more of a gap in one than in the other.
Yeah.
Tonight's topic is on dreams. Stephanie says she's from Michigan. Ooh, it gets cold in Michigan, doesn't it? I've been to Michigan.
There's only one person came on Facebook and they're so shy. They as soon as we asked them, they went away.
And Nancy came on. She says she's from Iowa City.
Cool.
Katie's from San Diego. Okay, Katie. No showing off. Nice and warm in San Diego.
Is it though? Did they get some cold weather?
Oh, I don't know.
Recently.
I don't watch the news that often. Michigan gets cold though. Michigan's right across from Ontario, isn't it? Right across from the falls in that area. Isn't that where Michigan is? And it's 7 o'clock, Dr. Leslie.
Okay. No, have you got me on the Facebook group, by the way?
Yes, I do.
Okay. That's good. Then I guess we'll start, because I can't see me on the Facebook group, but if you can, that's the main thing. All right, let's begin the show. Welcome, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everyone.
And
Once more.
And we are broadcasting on 101.
Today. Sorry, Dr. Leslie.
I have to start again because you've messed that introduction.
No, go right ahead.
Welcome, listeners. Tune in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey. And we're broadcasting on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley. And you can also catch us on all the major podcasting platforms, on my website, drlesliephillips.com. And you can get to see us pre-record the show by joining our Facebook group, which is called Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group, and by following my YouTube channel as well, which is just Dr. Leslie Phillips on YouTube. And it's great to see so many people joining us live. And as usual, we have a fantastic show planned for you this evening. And our topic is vivid dreams and the spiritual meaning of dreams. And I am hoping that as we go through our evening together, that many of our listeners will share their dreams and we can actually do some dream interpretation on the show. Because I think that would be fun. That would be a real fun thing to do.
Yeah, we got a couple more people come on from where they're from. Faye says Baltimore, Maryland. And Nate is from Burlington, Vermont. Been to Burlington. I used to live in Montreal, so I was in Burlington quite often. Nice little spot.
That's great. That's great to have so many people listening live and listening from all over North America. And we do have followers in all over the world, actually. It's just that we're not recording in a time zone that suits some of them. But we shout out to anyone who's listening later on to the podcast because they can't make the live stream.
And we want to welcome everybody new on board because there's going to be some new people on tonight. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people been joining the Facebook group. And so they'll be on tonight. I see a couple already that, we got Kathy from Dubai. Wow.
Oh, excellent. That's pretty.
And Melissa from Murray, Kentucky. I was just interested to see where everybody was from tonight and see what, how far we get the broadcast going.
Yeah, cool. Pretty early in the morning in Dubai.
Yeah, yeah. Warm there, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, back to the show and the show topic, which is dreams, vivid dreams, and the spiritual meaning of dreams. And like I said, I'll just invite all of you to share your questions about dreams, and we will get to them. And also any dreams that you want to have a spiritual perspective on what they might be about. But let's get started and let's just talk about dreams and what they are. And from my perspective, I think that in a way there's two basic types of dream. One type of dream is really just the body's way of processing a busy day. So if you've had a busy, stressed out day, you might recognize the type of dream where it's just all of a jumble. You know, maybe you watched a TV show, something happened at work, you were in a traffic jam, and all of those things just get all jumbled together because it's your brain continuing to process what happened during the day. And those types of dreams don't necessarily follow a timeline or a story. They're just a jumble, and they're just you processing the day. But the other type of dream is where we're having a true what's called out-of-body experience. So all of us, whether we recognize that we dream or not, we all have out-of-body experiences. And most commonly at night when we are asleep, we are traveling outside of the physical body. And mostly we are occupying another body that we have, which is called our astral body. So we're having experiences of our own consciousness in the out-of-body state in a different realm of reality than our ordinary reality, which is sometimes referred to as the astral plane, which is an expansion of earth plane reality. So it does relate directly to our earthly experiences, but it gives us the opportunity to experience ourselves as pure spirit. So there are many differences between being awake in your physical body and being awake in your astral body, or being asleep and traveling in your astral body. And one of the main differences that in the astral body, you're not limited by time and space. You're not limited by the ordinary laws of physical matter. And that is why in dreams, we can walk on water. We can fly in the air. We can walk through walls. We can dive deep in the ocean without, an oxygen mask on, because we are in a realm of reality which is not governed by the same limitations that physical reality is. So we all do this. We all have these out-of-body adventures. And sometimes what we're doing is relating quite directly to who we are in our physical lives. And sometimes it isn't. So it's possible for us in our out-of-body state to travel. I'll use the word upward, although it's not the right word, but upward in dimension. So to higher dimensional levels, to realms of experience that really would not make any sense at all to our waking physical human brain. So when you have a dream recall, a vivid dream, a lucid dream, a dream that you are remembering, that's for a few different reasons. because most of what happens in our out-of-body state, we don't remember it, but sometimes we do. And when we do, it can be because it has something to teach us, that there is a message in there from our higher being, or from these experiences that we've been having, traveling through our inner psychology, that a message that we need to hear with our waking consciousness. The trouble is that in our out-of-body experience, like I said, you can be experiencing realities relatively far removed from earth plane reality. So in order for us to remember it, it almost has to get stepped down in dimensional level. And as that happens, the experience actually gets diluted and distilled and translated into a form that we can understand. And that form that we can understand is symbols. So dreams are another language, if you like, and that language is the multi-dimensional language of symbol. And so it is a way of packaging a lot of information into something that we can recognize. And then when we wake up and we remember our dream, we can look at the symbols in the dream in order to interpret and extract some meaning that makes sense to us. So not all of your dreams are remembered. In fact, most of them are not. But when they are remembered, they are distilled down into a language and a form that we're able to make sense of. So I hope that that's making sense so far. And you know, in dream interpretation, one of the keys is really to look at, well, what are the main symbols in the dream? What was the symbol in the dream that stood out in the most profound way for you? And then, rather than buy a dream book that says, here's the meaning, a snake in a dream means this, a house in a dream means that, a car in a dream means this, is forget about that. You as the dreamer, what does that symbol mean for you? Because this is your internal conversation. This is you communicating with yourself through your own internal symbolic language. And so a cat might mean one thing to me. To me, it might mean femininity or love or allergies. To you, a cat, maybe you were attacked by a cat and it means danger and fear. So it really depends upon the one who is dreaming what that dream means. So always in dream interpretation, we want to reflect on that within ourselves. Same thing, who are the main characters in the dream? And those characters can be in the dream as a symbol as well. So it's not always that, you know, your husband shows up and it's really your husband. It could just be that there's, or your boss, that may be a better example, your boss shows up. It actually can be, what does that person represent to you? What does that person symbolize for you? And maybe you have a good relationship with your boss and he's kind and he supports you. So maybe then that dream symbol represents a supporting influence in your life. Or maybe he's a horrible boss and he's really mean to you. So in which case for you, that symbol of that boss would mean something completely different. The other thing that we want to pay attention to in a dream is, was there any emotional content in the dream? Were there any strong and powerful feelings or repulsions or attractions, or and what were they? because by asking all of those questions, then we start to get into the meaning of your dream for you. So I'd love to know if any of you have any questions about dreams.
Questions. There's more questions that we're going to be able to handle, I think.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there's lots of questions.
In which case, I don't mind letting the questions direct the conversation, really, Corey. That would be
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question too.
Great.
Let me see if I can remember it. Because I see a car in my dream and you see a car in your dream, it doesn't have the same meaning, right? But if I dream the same thing all the time, does it always, like if I dream about a car every night, the same dream, does it have the same meaning?
I would say it doesn't absolutely have to, but in all likelihood it does. And I would also say that there can be some, universal dream symbols that frequently in a lot of people might have a similar underlying meaning. So for example, often driving your car, it's can have to do with the direction of your life, where you're taking yourself, kind of thing. So I don't want to make blanket statements about everything. I think that sometimes there are some things that within the human species even might just be common to many people. So yeah, a car might mean something different to me, but the same car showing up in your dream all the time, it might be continuation of a particular theme that you're learning about.
Okay. So the first question is from Annika. Why can one keep seeing at night the same spirits, not as in a dream, but through the third eye?
Well, that is a good question that I don't think there's a general answer to. I think if it's something that's happening to you, we could look at who those spirits are. And it's interesting that you say the same spirits, because I think it's a more common experience for people to just be seeing random faces or random spirits. So what does it mean if you're seeing the same spirits? Well, I get an interesting answer actually, and you can give us a bit more context to this, but the answer that comes up is that these are beings that you may know, and that when you're going into your dream experience, maybe meeting with these beings. So you don't say whether pleasant or unpleasant, but the way I'm reading it is it's just friends you have on the other side, people that you're interacting with, so that when you are going to sleep, that those are characters or people that you are meeting and interacting with in some way. And it's just as we have friends and people that we interact with in our waking life, there can be people that we interact with always in our dream life as well. That's completely possible. So you let me know whether that resonates with you, Annika. And if I've misread that and they're scary faces, let me know.
So Victoria says, I had a dream last night that I had an open heart surgery. And as I got sedated, I traveled into my astral body. Just spent time with my childhood friends, so nothing too crazy. But I knew I was in my astral body the whole time. Does this dream have spiritual significance?
Wow, that's a very interesting dream. That's like a dream within a dream, isn't it? I dreamed that I dreamed that, so you dreamed something was happening to you, and then you went out of the body and that you were in the dream. Very cool. Okay, so open heart surgery and then hanging out with friends. It feels to me like a healing dream. And it feels to me like a healing dream, and that you were healing something within yourself and doing it on the astral because you don't want to bring that into the physical. And so I'll look and see what does it have to do with. It looks like quite a vivid dream, actually, at least the way I'm seeing it. It's almost like I'm seeing the open chest and the heart beating in the open chest. Corey's telling me I have to wrap up for a break in a moment. So you just interrupt me for the break when it's time, and I'll just keep reading her until. So let's see. You know, I think part of the meaning of the dream is relating to the nature of consciousness, because you were experiencing yourself in a few different stages and states of consciousness, and you're experiencing the idea of the physical body, and you were also experiencing the idea of yourself outside of the physical body. And I'm sure there's more to that, but we'll take a break, and while we're on a break, I'll have a little further look, and when we come back, maybe there'll be more to say. All right, so listeners, we have to go to a break. We'll be back with you shortly. Welcome back, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey. And tonight we're talking about dreams. And before the break, Victoria shared a really interesting dream where she was having open heart surgery, and then she experienced herself leave her body in the dream in open heart surgery and be in her astral body. And it felt to me also like the dream was about, it's like really exposing your heart, really opening, really exposing it. It's like nothing hidden. This is my true heart, my true inner feelings exposed. And so it feels like that the dream was a healing dream relating to that idea of being able to be open-hearted and expose your heart without being concerned about how other people might respond to that. And I wonder whether in your childhood there might have been some experiences where you were being open-hearted, but for some reason it wasn't received that way. So I feel like you were doing some healing work relating to your heart, relating to what I just said.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Leslie.
You're welcome.
And Victoria just wants you to know that she's the Victoria from Unlocking Your Intuition last month.
Oh, Victoria, hello. Oh, nice to see you here.
Yeah. So next question is from Amy. Amy says, I'm sorry, and Annika says it resonates, yet I don't understand the spire or spiders associated with it. It's more clairvoyant. No issues. We'll move on though. Amy says, sometimes I've had dreams that are only in two-dimensional, flat and full of abstract and unknown symbols. No way to understand it all in the terms of my regular life. What's that about? Oh, I like that one.
That is another interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and like we were saying, you can have experiences that are very different because you're traveling into what we might call realms of non-ordinary reality. Well, I mean, I can see the experience, and it just feels like it is hard to put into human words, but it's like you are experiencing two-dimensional space. That is what it is. You're experiencing two-dimensional space. You're experiencing another realm of experience, another way of being, an alternate reality. And is there any meaning for that in your waking life, or any relevance to your waking life? I think it's mind expanding to know that there are different, all sorts of different experiences to be had. It looks like it's also a way of experiencing more limits, because it's funny, at the beginning of the show, I was saying that in 3D reality, we're limited. And when we go out of the body, usually what's happening is we're going into an expanded, unlimited experience. But in some senses, one might say that 2D experience is more limited in a way. So it just feels like you're just exploring. And somehow it is appealing to you or interesting to you to experience two-dimensional space. That's all I'm getting about it. Thank you for sharing, though.
Thank you. It's almost like she's going into a different reality, a whole different time reality. I read a book once about that, where it was two-dimensional geometrical figures, and at first the person was looking at them and it was just geometrical figures, but then all of a sudden he realized they were all a little bit different, and they became to individuals. Then he started recognizing them as individuals, just like you would recognize people in this reality. And he could travel from one spot, he could fold time by going through this reality to another reality. Very interesting. Brought back to that memory. So this is from Tracy. Next one's from Tracy. I took your advice that I've been meditating and have several instances since I've been meditating in dreams that I can't explain. Can you tell me if the things I've seen and acted on, I have perceived them correctly? Yes.
That's kind of not enough information to go on. And also, I don't always remember what I've told people in the past. So can I tell her if the intuitions that she's can you read that again?
Yeah, I took your advice and I've been meditating, and I've had several instances since I've been meditating in dreams that I can't explain. So she's had dreams since she's been meditating. Can you tell me if the things I've seen and acted on, if I have perceived them correctly?
Okay, so the first part, yeah, I mean, I think that meditating more can stimulate your dreams and can make you more aware of your dreams and help make you remember your dreams. I think the second part is too vague. For me, I need you to be more specific on that, really, to give you an answer. Things that you've seen and acted on, I can't answer that till you get me a bit more information, please.
Okay. So Annika says, I keep seeing a being on a white horse with others accompanying it and spider energy. So I think this is in relation to the first.
The spider beings are a form of astral entity that are parasitic, and they, I would steer clear of them if you can, because they can make a home in your energy field. So sometimes I've spent lots of time clearing out spider beings from people. So that is a parasitic astral entity. So usually spider beings not our friends. Assuming that's what the kind of spider that, because it's also possible you could have a dream of a spider and it's just the symbol of a spider. And a being on a white horse. And again, is the being on the white horse in the same dream as the spiders, or is that a different disconnected thing? People, be a bit specific about when you're describing your dreams, because that will help me.
Yeah.
If it's too vague,
And we have so many questions tonight. It's going to be hard to get back to any of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one's from Nancy Hagan. Nancy says, been moving through immense grief from loss of spouse in October. Oh, sorry to hear that, Nancy. Have been recently experiencing strong energy presences from him and have had experience of flying fast within my body.
Okay, so strong experience of presence of your loved one, and to me that looks like obviously a very valid experience that your loved one is making their presence known and presence felt to help comfort you and to help you realize that the end of the physical body is not the end of, it's not the true end of life. There isn't an end of life. We continue forever. And then flying fast in your body. The way you read that sounded like she was. Is it in a dream?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So she's having dreams. Says recently experienced strong energy presence from him, and have had experiences of flying fast within my body. So she was flying. Could be like a wakened dream or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'll just say that's very cool, and I guess flying dreams are quite common. And again, we don't want to. Often they are about freedom, and yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you're having flying dreams.
Okay, Katie says, is there a way we can remember our dreams right when we wake up? Well, in other words, when she wakes up, rather than later in the day when we're busy.
Yes, that's a great question, Katie. And yes, the answer to that is yes. And there's different ways that you can do it. And one way is to, if you start moving about, then often that is what will stop. Your dream will just poof gone because there are biochemical changes in the brain as you're waking up. So one of the tricks is to, keep a recording device by the side of your bed or a journal by the side of your bed. And almost before you've completely woken up, speak or write your dream at that point. So train yourself to sort of, as you wake up, still be in touch with the dream that you've had and get it down before you wake up. That's one way. Another way is if you develop your clairvoyance and you can actually pull the dream pictures out of your third chakra, which is where your out of body memory is, and look at them as a kind of catalog or reference. Oh, that's what I was doing. So that's a more sophisticated way that you can do it when you've developed your clairvoyance. But a simple way is just and program yourself that you will remember your dreams before you go to sleep. Set that as the intention. And then as you're waking up, like I said, don't bound out of bed and then expect to remember your dreams. Just stay in that somnambulistic state, that semi-conscious state, and teach yourself to dictate it at that point.
That's interesting.
Thank you for that question. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. So this is from Nancy. Nancy says, I woke up from this is from Stephanie. She says, repeat dream of not being able to open my eyes. And when I pry them open, I can hardly see. I can still do things without my eyes open, like driving a car. Oh, I like that one.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? I always feel on the radio, if I have to be quiet to look at something, because we're on the radio, right? This has taken me a little bit of a moment to tune into, I'm afraid. So just to give me a moment of radio silence, I guess. I guess Corey can cut out the pause, can't you, for the thing?
Can. Sure we can, Dr. Leslie.
I'm kind of stumped. I'm not getting anything on this one. I'm not getting a single thing. That's never happened before. I think it's that, like, you know, I feel under pressure because of the show being a radio show to not to so can we just skip that one, Corey, please?
Yeah, I have something on that.
Oh, good. Thank goodness for that. That's good.
Well, I can see that what's happening is that her clairvoyance is opening up, and she's having a problem. She's fighting it. So you're fighting it, Stephanie. You're not allowing it to happen. Basically, you're seeing without seeing, which is the ultimate definition of clairvoyance. So enjoy it. Try doing it while you're awake. Try practicing it while do some meditation and try expanding on that clairvoyance. I'm sure you'll have fun with it.
That sounds like a good.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stephanie. I said Katie. I apologize. Okay, next one, Nancy. I woke from a vivid dream. I was flying, floating around my house. I heard leaf blowers outside of my windows and hovered against the floor trying to hide. Saw a male face peeking in the window. Ooh.
Cool.
It's a really popular show. I mean, the questions are coming in hand over fist.
Are they questions or are they sharing? Just sharing.
Both.
Okay, so you read that really fast. Nancy was flying in a dream. Then she heard a leaf blower outside. Then she saw a man peering in the window and she hid.
Yeah, she was hovered against the floor trying to hide, then saw a man in the window.
Hovering against the floor trying to hide.
So she got a fear of
flying inside her house. She's flying inside her house. And then there was a leaf blower outside and a man peered in the window. See, I almost want to say, so these were the most vivid symbols in Nancy's dream. Remember what I said at the beginning, Nancy? I almost want to say to you, well, what does a leaf blower mean to you? Does it mean tidying up the garden? What, flying around the house, enjoying yourself, and then flying around the house, enjoying yourself, being completely free, and then somebody's watching you and you don't want to be seen. So that's kind of what that seems like to me, that it's a dream of being unfettered freedom, and then under the gaze of somebody else, feeling like you don't have permission to express yourself in the same way, and shrinking and hiding and trying not to be seen by that other person. Oh my goodness.
Time for a next break, Dr. Leslie.
Break. All right, well, listeners, you're tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, talking about vivid dreams and the spiritual meaning of dreams. And we will be back after these messages.
Yep.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. And tonight's subject is vivid dreams and the spiritual meaning of dreams. And people are sharing their dream experiences, and some of them are very interesting and unusual, I have to say.
Yep.
From exploring two-dimensional space to having surgery in your dream and leaving your dream body in your dream. Very interesting. So what else have we got to...
So we have one from Allie. And she says, I'm not sure. I will always attribute the fact that I never remember my dreams to my being a little light sleeper. I like being a light sleeper. I want so badly to remember my dreams, and sometimes I ask my angels and spirit guides to please talk to me in my dreams and tell me something while my busy mind is at rest. But I can never remember anything profound. Is there a way that I can change this? You've already sort of answered that question, but
I have another answer, which is another method I used to use, is that the full dream cycle, the different stages of the sleep cycle, takes about 90 minutes. So if you can manage to set an alarm for 90 minutes, and you can manage to get the clock ticking just around the point at which you do fall asleep, and have the alarm go off 90 minutes later in the middle of a REM cycle, then that's when you're dreaming. And REM cycle is rapid eye movement. So that's exactly when you're dreaming. And if you interrupt yourself exactly when you're dreaming, then you are more likely to remember it, because you've disturbed yourself right in the middle of it, as opposed to in the middle of some other point in the sleep cycle. So that would be another tip.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So this is from Curious Soul. Can an induced OBE help one find answers that might lead to self-discovery and a cure for addictions like the psychedelics?
So I think that if your intention with an out-of-body experience is to, you can definitely go into out-of-body experience states with the intention for it to be a healing experience. And that you can do that in your dreams. You can incubate a healing dream. You can decide to solve a problem in a dream. And before you go to sleep, you can program yourself and tell yourself that that is what you're going to do tonight. And then when you remember your dreams, when you come back from your dreams, then look within the dream symbology of how that might relate to your question. But George's question was about taking psychedelics to induce an out-of-body experience. And I'm not an expert in psychedelics, George, but I believe that there are people who can take you through experiences like that, and that they would say that, yes, they can be very deeply healing. I personally don't believe that you have to take psychedelics to have an out-of-body experience, and that there are other ways that you can have out-of-body states where you can, that can be healing as well. But thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you. And by the way, if you're listening on YouTube or on Facebook, please give us a like so that we can have lovely, lovely hearts and thumbs up. Thank you. If you're enjoying the show, that is. So this is from Nate. Nate says, occasionally I experience sleep paralysis. It's a really scary feeling to be trapped in your body, conscious, but unable to wake up. Sometimes it feels like entities are trying to disturb me during this.
Yes, and that's I mean, I think it's probably not a super common experience, but I've heard those stories before. And I even had one experience myself like that, where I was in Denmark, actually, staying in someone else's apartment, and something like that happened to me. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. And so, you know, I think it is like you're in the process of waking up, you're still in your astral body, but somehow think that you're in your physical body. So you're trying to, you know, use the physical body, but the astral body hasn't quite clicked in to the physical body. It's a bit like a Russian doll. It fits back into the physical body. So when you finish your night of adventures, the astral body will come back into the physical body. So I think sometimes that sleep paralysis experience is because you're still in the astral body, you haven't completely come back into the physical body. And the experience of the entities can genuinely be that there is an entity there. In the experience I had, it was. So, and I've known other people have similar thing. And so then, you know, I guess that's a whole other show, a whole other discussion. But often they're unwanted entities. So, but thank you.
Okay, next question is from Tina.
Yeah.
And Tina says, over the past few months, I've been having dreams about mundane things, such as conversation or being in a very specific location. And then weeks later, I find myself having the same exact experience in waking life. I
Yes.
don't experience it as a deja vu. It's just a realization like, oh, I've already done this.
Yeah.
It's caused me to wonder what is happening. I'm wondering what's real, what's an illusion, and if free will exists, or if everything is destined, or how these things work together. Can you provide
Okay.
insight, please?
Yes. And I've also had experiences like that. I would call that deja vu, and I'll explain why. Because on the astral plane, remember I said that it's a huge playground. There's no time and there's no space. So sometimes what we'll do is we will either practice in advance different scenarios, different setups for life experiences that we're planning to have. Or it's possible for us to go into the past or the future. So it is possible for us to get a glimpse of future time reality. And so I would say that it is a deja vu experience because you are either practicing for that event or observing that future time event from the out of body state, and then you're having the actual experience in your waking consciousness. So that would be my explanation, that it's real. It's real. And what the other part of the question was, is it delusional and what's free will? Well, I would say it's you creating the dream experience, and it's you creating the waking experience, and you're creating it. So it's not like it's predestined in that you're tapping into some pre-recording that then is going to happen. You are still the creator of it. And you might be the creator of it because you're practicing it before it happens, or you might be the creator of it and viewing your life from a different perspective where it's possible to see the future. So in your body, you're limited by time and space. So you're moment by moment by moment by moment, but outside of the body, you're no longer limited by time and space. So it's not the same linearity at all. I hope that answers your question.
Hope so too. This is the next one's from Omida. And I often have reoccurring dreams about past lovers, exes. This has been over decades. I've repeated dreams with the same 2 or 3 lovers. And in the dream, we're together and very much in love and in passion. Different storylines each time. I've wondered why I have these repeated dreams.
Oh, that's also a very interesting one. And she says repeated dreams, except they're
Yeah,
different storylines.
yeah.
So they're not exactly the same dream repeating, it sounds like. Well, to me, again, it's like you are, in a way, continuing those relationships in the out of body state. So in physical reality, maybe it's only possible for you to have one main relationship going on, or but in the dream state, no time, no space. So to me, it's almost like it's just part of your creativity with these individuals. Now, sometimes it can be because we're seeking to understand that relationship more deeply. That maybe there's some unresolved business that we're trying to get at. But to me, my hit on this one is almost like it's just creative expression. Why live one life when you can, I don't know, live a few different things simultaneously? So, yeah, very cool. Thank you.
Okay, next question. From Amanda. It says, I recently had a dream involving most of my family living on a boat. The boat sprung a leak, but I don't recall feeling frightened that the boat may be sinking. I spoke to my sister a few days later, and she almost had the exact same dream. Is this common?
Yes. Yeah. So it can happen. And it's probably more common to happen with people who are close to each other, like siblings. But it's also something that you can. I used to belong many years ago to a dream group, and we experimented in all sorts of ways with our dreams. And one of the ways was that we would agree to meet in our dream experience and have dreams together. And so we would plan that, and then we'd do it, and then we would meet up later to discuss, well, what happened. And invariably, we would have all had a very, very similar dream experience, just like you're describing. So absolutely, you can meet up and share experiences with people in your dreams, just like you meet up and share experiences with people in your waking life.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. By the way, I've sort of cut off questions because we get so many questions. We won't be able to get to them all tonight, most probably, unless we stay a little. Maybe we can stay a little later and answer some of them, Dr. Leslie. Okay, Benjamin, last dream I had, if I remember correctly, I was looking at my body and what seemed to be present, but there were pockets of holes in my body, various areas. Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting, isn't it? And I'm curious about what the areas were. And one of the things I wonder is, sometimes we're really in touch with our body. And often we're not, though. And there can be parts of our body that we don't really own, And so I wonder whether it's got something to do with that it's showing you areas within your body that you're not completely owning. Parts of your body that are kind of cut off from the rest. Maybe you've stored some painful experience there. So that's my hit on that it relates to you fully owning your own body. And that might sound like a strange thing for me to say. I don't know if you've been listening to me for a long time or not, but I'll try and explain it, that your body belongs to you, and your energy is meant to be the energy that occupies that body. But oftentimes other people are in there or we're not owning it, or we've buried something in there that we're then ignoring. So I think that your dream may have been pointing out some places that you're not really owning. Yeah, hopefully that rings a bell.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this next one's from Ali, and Ali says, can you read me and just tell me if there's any reason why I don't remember my dreams? Perhaps I have a block someplace.
Well, I am seeing that there's kind of like a mess of energy in your third chakra. The third chakra is the energy center that relates to outer body experience and out of body memory. And it just looks to me like there's just some energy backed up in there. So it's all a bit muddy. So I think cleaning out your third chakra, or having a healer or somebody help you to clean out your third chakra, might be something that would be helpful for you to do. So that's where I'm seeing there might be a block, third chakra.
And Benjamin just added something to that question you just had. He says, I don't remember some of my chest area and abdomen area, I think. I do have issues with the lower left abdomen area. And he says, thank you.
Yeah, so kind of a healing dream pointing out some things to you.
So Katie says, I have had a few dreams in the past several months in which its messages have manifested in my life. For example, I had a dream of, oops, I'll have to come back to that one. Okay. Oh, there it is. Some of my deceased mother's clothes from when she was young and when I woke up. My dad had texted me about going through an old closet.
Right. Yeah, so that's another example of being tuning into something that's going on in the physical, intuitively in your dream, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's another section of it. And she says, with my mom's clothes from about 17 years ago, other dreams seems to manifest themselves days or weeks later as my part of my intuitive ability. If so, how can I tune into it more?
How can you tune into your intuitive ability to have precognitive dreams? So you could meditate a little bit before you go to sleep. You could set the intention that you are going to have a precognitive dream and that you are going to remember it. You could use the technique I said earlier of setting the alarm at 90-minute cycles to wake yourself up in the middle of a REM cycle. You could use the other technique that I said earlier, where you train yourself to journal or dictate your dream before you've completely woken up in the morning, while it's still lingering in your mind. You can even train yourself to dictate your dreams while you're sleeping, which at one time in my life, when I was really, really, really into dreams, that's what I did. I used to sleep with a dictaphone, and I trained myself to press record when I was in a REM cycle and just speak the dream. So there's different techniques.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just going to give ourselves a little pause here for a second. Give you a breath, Dr. Leslie.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. It's like a fast fire.
Okay. Next question is from Jillian. Jillian says, I recently had a very vivid dream about my mother who passed away a little over 3 years ago. In the dream, I heard her voice clearly and even remembering her asking questions. However, when I woke up, I didn't remember anything else about the dream, except that she said she was having trouble finding the right pockets of energy to reach me. I'm not sure exactly what this means, and could this really be her visiting me?
It really could be her visiting you.
Okay,
Yeah. And also explaining, just explaining how she's trying to reach you. So that sounds like a genuine communication, and yes, it could be. Yeah.
Hey, Tracy, I saw myself catching on fire and it happened. I also thought I hit a deer, but there was no damage on my car.
Literally catching on fire.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting dream. It feels like it's transformational dream, like the fire being symbolic of. And again, remember that, what does the dream symbol mean to you? But anyway, as I'm looking at it, it feels like the fire is a symbol of transformation, very rapid transformation. And it almost makes me think about Kundalini and a Kundalini experience, like rapid transformation. And then how is that rapid transformation impacting the body? And is it happening in a way that is comfortable for the body? Like, I thought I damaged the deer, the animal. But then it turned out there was no damage to my car, so maybe I hadn't done. So to me, that sounds like a kind of a spiritual dream about you transforming, about you rapidly changing, and about you a concern, am I changing so much so quickly that it's harmful to the body? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Leslie. Joanna says, I've had a lot of precognitive dreams throughout my life, but most of the time they're very small moments of little significance, like bits of conversations with coworkers I hadn't met at the time, and I had the dreams. It's almost like deja vu, but instead of thinking I've experienced this before, it's, I had a dream about this exact moment. Is there any significance to this?
Yes. So the significance is exactly what we were telling to the lady before who was having precognitive dreams, that you are, when you're asleep and you're dreaming, you're outside of time and space. So you're either able to practice different scenarios before they happen, or actually have a perspective on the actual future event. Because it's not the same, you're not in linear time when you're in the outer body experience. So it sounds to me like they're genuine deja vu moments, that you are experiencing things on the astral before you're experiencing them in the physical, and then you're remembering them in the physical.
Hey, are you good for a few more, Dr. Leslie, or are you getting tired?
I could probably do a few more.
Okay. Let me know when you're done, because we're going way over time, but there's so many good questions that I'd love to get them answered for the people. This is from Kathy. Kathy says, for many decades, I have a reoccurring dream of my first love. We are rekindling the relationship, yet the person who came between us is still around, married. A vivid emotional dream.
Okay, so you're dreaming of your first love, and then the person who came in between you in real life is still there. So to me, it sounds like a kind of healing dream. Like on the one hand, it's a dream about I guess re-experiencing the wonderful feelings of that relationship, but also trying to heal and come to terms with what happened to end it. So it seems to me that there's two parts to it. One is recognizing it and re-experiencing it and enjoying it, and the other trying to heal and figure out and understand more deeply what actually happened to end the relationship.
Thank you. And this is from Omar. Omar says being on a white horse is probably the coming of the Kaliki. We are at the end of the Kali Yuga, aka the end of times.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like the horseman of the apocalypse.
Yeah, it does.
Revelations, yeah.
So Annika says both are in the same episodes. Thank you for responding. So she's touching base. By the way, Tina says thank you. That's what I've been experiencing. You described it. Tracy says, I also saw that I shouldn't remain at the job and location I am at, and I uprooted my home and I'm looking for a whole new other field of work. Change is good, Tracy.
Yeah, very cool.
And Lunar Rising says, my dream about 3-4 years ago, I saw many people dying of natural causes and economic turmoil. They were also mass suicide. I saw the date, but now forgot. It's either 3/20, 3/21, or 3/22.
Right.
And he goes on to say, when COVID hit, it reminded me of this dream. Is it a prediction of the future or a reflection of me processing what's going on in my daily life?
Well, so that's a very interesting dream, and thank you for sharing it. And so, it's possible to have premonitions of future world events in your dreams. I've had some myself, but I've also had dreams that felt like a future world premonition where it never happened. And my explanation of it is this, that we are sort of, living here on Earth, we are in our bodies, in the here and now, in the present moment. And the future is a probability field. And which future we end up navigating into in our mass consciousness depends on us in each and every moment where the energy of that mass consciousness is. And so anytime we have a future time premonition, we almost need to assign a probability to the how likely is that to happen? And that's why sometimes we have premonitions that come true and don't come true. That's why sometimes you go to a psychic and you ask them to tell your future, and sometimes it comes true and it doesn't come true. So it could be that at the time of your dream, you were tuning into something that was in the field for humanity. You know, this flavor of death and economic turmoil is in the it's in the pot brewing. But maybe it was a premonition of the pandemic. Maybe when the pandemic showed up, it was slightly different flavor than what had been in your dream, and so on. So, I mean, I think hopefully that gives you an explanation. You may have been tapping into a future potential. So, I've dreamed of, for example, an air crash that then happened 3 days later and was in the news. But I've also dreamed of an air crash that I looked at the papers to try and find because I was convinced it absolutely had happened and it never did. So it's just like, is it in the field? And knowing that those probabilities can change, and they're changing all the time depending on the now moment that we're in. Because we've all got free will in every moment. Our energy's changing in every moment.
Hey, Bianca, this is an interesting one, Dr. Leslie. We have three including this one. We spent the day together yesterday and did an entity clearing. Last night I had a dream that spider web full of spiders was blown onto my face and I was struggling to get them off. I'm worried.
Oh. Oh dear. Okay, Bianca. Well, one of the things that I think I gave you the free meditation on my website, and if I didn't, I should have. There's a free meditation on my website that teaches you how to ground and center. And grounding is a way of releasing and letting go of foreign energy. There's also my book that teaches some other energy techniques. The book's called Intuition and Chakras. And I think, Bianca, you were seriously considering taking the Unlock Your Intuition course. And I would recommend that as well, because I mean, it's one thing to come to somebody like me and have an entity clearing, but really what you want to do is you want to know how to manage your own energy so that you don't have to rely on that. And so that's what the Unlock Your Intuition course will teach you to do. And there's some information like that in the last section of my book. But yeah, that sounds, because that's the thing, when I do entity clearings on people, and that wasn't pre-booked as an entity clearing, it just ended up happening. But usually when somebody pre-books, I feel it's very important to say, you need to learn to own your energy, because if you don't, I can clear you out and you can get reinvaded. And really keeping your energy clean is, unless you want to spend hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars every week to go and get somebody to clean you out, it depends on you owning your space. So don't be afraid, it can be handled. But I do recommend that you learn some things about how to do that. Nice to see you here.
By the way, Dr. Leslie, the free meditation page seems to have disappeared from...
I gave it to 2 people today. It's under free.
No, it's not, Dr. Leslie. But we'll fix that. I wanted to put it on the site, but...
There's some weird anomalies happening to my website at the moment. It has gone, hasn't it? I didn't take it off.
Yep. Anyway, next question.
Weird.
This is something to do after the show, Dr. Leslie.
Yeah.
Omida says, when I was a child, I had a repeated dream for 10 years, every night on New Year's Eve. I was running through a dark hallway with dead toys, and had to run and stop the clock before it turned to 12. Each year I made it in a panic and stopped the clock right in time and woke up. In the dream, I had to stop the clock to save the world each year. I wonder what that dream was all about. It felt like a tremendous responsibility.
That's an amazing dream. And there's no sort of mythology or story that you were told as a kid that might have triggered that. That's very interesting, isn't it? Well, let's take a look. I mean, it is tremendous responsibility. Well, I mean, I think that that's a very deep and meaningful dream, and I think it's very specific to you. And, you know, I mean, I think it just relates to a pattern this lifetime. So Amida, you work in a job where there's a lot of responsibility for others. You know, you're a mom and all of these things, and I think that, you know, letting go of responsibility for others is a pattern that you are and have been working on this lifetime. And so maybe that's just an energy pattern that you came into this world with. And maybe that is something that is part of your life path to transcend that pattern of taking responsibility for everyone in the whole world. Thank you for sharing that. That's a very interesting dream.
Yeah. Stephanie says, I remember so many of my dreams. This is the last one, Dr. Leslie. I remember so many of my dreams for days, weeks, months. I even remember several from childhood. Is there a reason for remembering dreams for long periods of time?
Well, I used to do that too. And I mean, maybe you just like dreams and you're into them. I know for me, I remembered lots of dreams also that I had in my childhood. And I was so fascinated by dreams at one period in my life. I kept dream journals and I would think about them a lot and I would remember them for a long time. And it was because it was my passion to do so. So I'm just wondering whether a similar thing with you. I'm picking up that maybe one or two of the dreams for childhood, there's some stuck energy in that actually. So almost like the dream came up and was meant to help you be aware of something, so you could let it go. And then instead of letting it go, you just got fascinated by it. So we'd have to know more about what the dreams were to know whether what I just said was true, but I just got a hit of that in the energy when I looked at it. All right. So are we complete?
That's it, Dr. Leslie.
All right. Well, that was a marathon, wasn't it, tonight?
Yeah. Kathy says thank you. Lunar says thank you. Very helpful. Bianca says, yes, I'm taking course. I will do that. I don't want to spend thousands. Thank you.
Spend to save.
Yeah. Omaida says thank you. Amanda says thank you. And now it's it for the night.
All right. We shall see you next week
On CIVL at 7 o'clock Pacific time every Tuesday. Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. See you then. Bye-bye now.